Hey everybody, welcome back to A League of Our Own. It's your favorite sports chica, Carolina Teague, and I have a special guest today. We got Javi in the building. Javi is one of the crew members, commentary on RCW, but we are talking about a lot of crap today. We're not just talking about RCW. We're talking about everything today. We're talking about the NBA All-Star Game. Did you guys watch it? We're talking about Steph versus Sabrina. We're talking about so many great things.
Cody versus Roman. We're talking Cody versus Roman.
Yeah, today. Cody versus Roman and how they remind us of the Spurs versus the Heat.
Spurs and Heat. Yeah.
And we're also talking about Yolanda, the documentary. And we're talking about, so many great things. And
that should be the reaction across the board anytime anybody says that name. Yolanda
everybody
just roll their eyes, shake their head, and
nobody wants to talk about it. Yeah, so... And also, if you guys look at the little tiny man in the corner, that's Skyland Jackson, my radio producer.
The tiny man in the corner.
The tiny man in the bottom corner.
Hell?
Yeah, making sure everything's running smoother than olive oil.
The first and last time that anybody would call this guy tiny.
Exactly. Period. In multiple ways.
So before we get started, how was y'all's weekend? And it's supposed to be like President's Day or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah. It's so funny going from being a sports journalist to a financial advisor now. When I was a sports journalist working at Ken's 5, I worked at Playmaker Magazine. I was a sports anchor in Midland, Odessa, and then El Paso. When you're a journalist, the holidays really don't matter unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. Mm-hmm. So as a financial advisor, I found out, you don't have to go to work on Monday. And I was just like, why? It's President's Day. People care about that? It's amazing, making the switch. And any journalist and former journalist can attest to this. It's just, holidays matter to the outside world?
Yeah.
If I were still working at Ken's, I'd just be like, do I have to work on President's Day? And everyone would just be like, yep, see you at work.
Well, I had to work today. I had to work at my job. And it's banking, financial institutions, and schools. They all get these great days off. And that's one of the downsides of being in sports journalism is you're going to work a holiday. You're going to work on a Saturday and a Sunday. You're going to work all the damn time, it seems like.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's a super grind. Mm-hmm. It's a super grind. And it's a tough field to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. No days off. I remember I was leaving on a vacation to go with my family. We were all going to Vegas, and we were going to check out locations where I would possibly get married. Mm-hmm. And that is the day that I found out that Kawhi was being traded from the Spurs. We were about to get on a flight. That news broke really early in the morning. I was texting my producer. I was telling him, here, this is what to say. This is what to say in the interview, because there really weren't any sports people that work that early in the morning. And it was just wild. I almost drove down to the station just to appear on the morning show that morning. Mm-hmm. But I was just like, no, there's more important things going on in my life.
Like your family.
Let's go get married. Let's figure out how we're going to spend the rest of our lives, rather than whatever's going on with Kawhi.
Yeah, you have to tune that out sometimes, especially when you have big important events. I also forget certain things and certain holidays for my family because I have so many things I got to do. Skyland, what do you think about sports journalism careers? Do you think I heard it's actually dying. It's getting harder to get a career in sports journalism.
Oh, yeah. I mean, traditional sports journalism.
Right, traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're doing here, podcasting, video casting, you can make your own way. It's it's hustle. It's aligning with the grind, or align the grind, and just keep on running with it. So, yeah, there's all sports journalists out there. What ESPN never talks about is when they lay off so many people, they just come in a lot of times and hire people at a third of the rate. That's what they're doing.
Exactly.
So.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They get cheaper talents.
But one of the funny things that's happening too is that sometimes there can be an oversaturation of people in new media, because you get people who just want to generate content, and there really is a difference between doing something you love and trying to make it work, and doing something just because you want to make money and generate content. I heard, I got to credit to Bomani Jones. I'm a big fan of his. He said this on his podcast recently. It's just when you're just doing it for the content as opposed to doing it because you love it, it really shows up. Mm-hmm. And one of those you're going to get tired of, and you're just going to get out. Mm-hmm. And the other, you can just kind of make it work. I'm in development on a podcast right now, and Thankfully, I got my MBA from UTSA, 3.8 GPA, distinguished grad student.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Humble brag, humble brag.
But I put a business plan together. So before, when I was a sports journalist, I would have been just about, let's get the content out there. Let's start putting it out there, regardless of whatever's happening. More now. But now it's just like, well, if it's something that takes off, like we're planning for the growth, and if it's something that, not that many people listen to, it'll still be something fun for me that me and my friends do, because we're passionate about it. And we still want to, have our voices out in the world.
When I got my bachelor's degree, our final project was we had to come up with a business plan, as you know, because you probably have an MBA. So I had to come up with a business plan, and I turned in a 12-page business plan about my taco truck that I was going to open. And my teacher was like, "Are you sure you just want to open a taco truck?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to open a taco truck." And I got a B.
If he could only see you now.
I know, if you can only see me now. No, just kidding. Okay, so let's get started. We got big fish to fry. There was a big weekend. I want to ask you guys, let's get to the nitty gritty. Is the NBA All-Star game boring now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it totally is.
Absolutely. Real quick, I'm sorry. I want to say Vince Trevino, he said, did we watch the Daytona 500? I did not. And
No.
I should have, but I didn't.
That was today, right?
That was today.
They moved it over from Sunday.
Yeah.
Originally my excuse was going to be I was watching the Genesis Invitational, because for some reason I turned like 36 years old, and all of a sudden I just really, really cared about golf. Like that old man part of me is kicking in, where I just care about every tournament, every weekend, not just the majors. But yeah, no, they moved it to Monday, and I had plans with family today. Didn't really get to tune into the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I did tune into the NBA All-Star weekend.
So, okay, is it weekend or game?
I would say overall the week. We can talk about the weekend.
Well,
but the game was trash.
Well, again, and this is a problem that we could talk about. It used to be that the weekend would build to the game. Mm-hmm. We had special moments. I remember, when I was young. I'm 40. I'm old. But when I was young, getting to see Tim Duncan and Shaq co-MVP, watching Kobe light it up, the one-on-ones. I remember exactly where I was, where Michael Jordan hit what should have been a game-winning bucket over Sean Marion in his last All-Star game. Those moments used to build, and now it's just meh.
It is.
Now all the good stuff happens on Friday and Saturday. You want to tune into the celebrity game because it's fun watching your favorite celebrities, light it up. Did you see Puka Nacua throwing stuff down? That guy can dunk in the way that Steph Curry can barely dunk, but man, that guy had some swag, and that was fun watching him do it.
You're the pole vaulter, right?
Puka Nacua, the NFL wide receiver, the Rams wide receiver, the rookie sensation who came out of nowhere. And then All-Star Saturday, you had the WNBA, NBA competition for the three-point contest. Three-point contest is always fun. It's kind of funny how people used to talk about how the dunk contest might have been dead. They were trying different ways to revive it, but really you just need the right guys. The right guys doing the right dunks, and if they're bringing them up from the G League, it doesn't matter. We want to see the best dunks in the world. NBA guys don't want to participate. Honestly, I don't think that should necessarily be a problem for the league. But, like I said, now we're at the point where everything sort of crescendos on Saturday and nobody cares about Sunday.
I agree. I mean, I think, first of all, I think the NBA All-Star Weekend the game is boring. The game on Sunday, it was a snooze fest. And I feel like they don't even try anymore. Well, they haven't tried for a while, but even more so Sunday, after halftime, I kind of tuned out. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is it so boring? And me and Gylan were talking about this behind the scenes. The best part of the NBA All-Star Weekend was the LED court.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was cool. That special effect. Yeah, that was the best part of NBA All-Star Weekend. And I think what the NBA needs to do, and this is why the NFL beats the NBA in ratings every single year. The NBA needs to come out with more innovative ways to make these type of things exciting. And I also think if they're not going to do something like that, perhaps they should maybe utilize the fact that WNBA needs more promotion, and perhaps Sabrina Ionescu versus Steph Curry, that should have been something where Sabrina was in the men's 3-point contest because
there could have been more
Yeah.
WNBA, like the same amount of WNBA players as men, as NBA players, like in the 3-point contest.
Right.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been
Because then
fun.
all of a sudden it's just like, she had 26 points, and as they pointed out on the broadcast, that was good enough to put her in the finals of the 3-point contest.
That's what I was gonna say. So one of the things that really impressed me about her, and it kind of rolls into what we were going to go into. Did you like Steph versus Sabrina? Yeah, I did, because this, Sabrina was originally supposed to shoot at the WNBA 3-point line, but she made a decision last minute that she wanted to shoot from Steph Curry's NBA 3-point line, and she still made 26 points. Damian Lillard, who won the 3-point competition, scored 26 points, and she would have scored over Karl Anthony Towns, and she would have scored over, who was the other guy Trae Young. Trae Young. They both had 24 points. So Sabrina can shoot with the best of the best in 3-point shooting in the NBA. Why not incorporate more women into the 3-point shooting contest and have them shoot at the NBA line? And I also think perhaps they should do, and I know Gylan said he disagrees with me, and a lot of people do, but I think to bring more promotion for the WNBA, they should do a NBA versus WNBA 5-on-5 basketball competition.
See,
they would get slaughtered, though.
I would disagree with that.
Go ahead.
The other thing that I would say though is you're absolutely right. There does need to be more WNBA integration, because if you look at where both leagues are, the NBA ratings are kind of starting to stagnate. They're trying to find ways to get more people to watch, whether it be having games on Christmas Day, minimizing back-to-backs, creating that 65-game incentive for postseason awards, getting players to play. The WNBA is absolutely on the rise. Mm-hmm. The ratings are jumping up. They're getting more and more attention because of the media coverage that's been happening, on top of the special players that are out there. And it's going to be even bigger next year when Caitlin Clark comes to the WNBA. Mm-hmm. So putting more players in the skills competition, not just a 3-point competition. And my proposal would be to just straight up make Sunday's game sort of the celebrity game almost, and go back to our producer, he's old. He's an old guy. Do you remember MTV Rock and Jock? Yeah, they used to have Rock and Jock celebrity softball, basketball, football. It's just like, let's just have everybody play together. The NBA players, we can find ways to integrate them. They could even play if they want. But how about we get celebrities, WNBA, and NBA players into a game with special funky rules? They used to have like a basket over the basket that would be worth 10 points. They used to have different spots. They used to have a 10-point spot, a 5-point spot on the court. And now, like we were saying, with that digital court, you could maybe have stuff pop up. It's just like, oh, if you shoot here right now, it's worth 6 points. And then, and it's got a timer on it. So when the timer goes down, you only have a certain amount of time to hit from that spot. Mm-hmm. So
no, I like the second half of what you just said.
Yeah, so I think gamifying stuff with the digital court, incorporating celebrities and WNBA players into the game on Sunday, I think would be a lot of fun. You go back and there used to be half-hour specials on MTV about the biggest moments from Rock and Jock, when I think Queen Latifah once broke down Sean Kemp, crossed him up and went for a layup, and just everybody just lost their minds watching it. We could turn it into and obviously, and putting in financial incentives too, because what are the players going to respond to? They're going to respond to money. So if there's a financial incentive for the best defensive play, the best steal, the best dunk, then people might be interested. The players were, the one thing that the league got right in making big changes was the in-season tournament, because everybody cared about that, not necessarily because of the trophy or because, it meant necessarily something to the fans, because that was money in their pocketbook. Right. The NBA put a lot of promotion behind it, got the sponsors behind it, and guess what? Yeah, the Lakers, they might get eliminated in the first round. Their ceiling might be the second round, but You know, those guys that were playing for maybe only a little above the minimum, doubled their salary. They really cared about that in-season tournament
and
play.
it's important to have that. So, Gylan, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about NBA All-Star Weekend overall? I think that it needs a facelift at this point.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think it needs a facelift. I don't believe having the women play the guys is a smart move. I truly believe that the women will get slaughtered. It would be uglier than we've ever seen anything, especially if the guys really try and they put it on. Unless the women are just shooting 3-pointers all day long from the outside, right? Because there's probably 2 women in the NBA that could even come close to trying to post up an NBA player, right? And we have to be honest about that.
I think it's okay.
Equality and the whole thing.
I think it's okay to, again, like, not necessarily because, you know, Adam Silver, I guess, is upset because the game wasn't more competitive. I think if we just lean into the fun part of it, where you have your favorite celebrities and NFL players and WNBA players just out there having fun, I think that would be enough.
Until somebody accidentally bumps into somebody and now somebody has an ACL tear.
I mean,
right? I think there's too much risk to make it fun. Now, I do like what you're saying about the court and then like a hot spot on the court at a particular time. Or, you know, you remember NBA Jams, he's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, having for a heat check, it's just like, oh, guess what? If you make more than 3 shots in a row, every shot you make, even from special spots, is double. I think just lean into the fun part.
Or no threes for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't do threes for the next 5 minutes.
Dunks are worth 10 points from here on out.
Exactly.
If you block a dunk, it's worth 20. Like
that'd be cool.
Yeah. There you go.
The thing for me is that
legit.
a lot of people say, and those are all great ideas and concepts. I feel like the NBA doesn't listen to people when they give these things out, like the financial incentive thing. I think we could all be on the same page.
Hey, how about this? Goaltending is allowed for 2 minutes, and then Wemby checks in and just stands under the bucket.
Just make it interesting. And Charles Barkley was saying, I think earlier yesterday, that it's not exciting anymore. These players, they don't put their heart into the NBA All-Star game. Like, literally, there's nothing to look forward to. Like, once I see the 3-point challenge, I'm done. Even the slam dunk competition isn't even as good as it used to be. Now, Matt McClung is incredible.
That guy's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
I would argue all day that Matt McClung is probably one of the top 10 dunkers all time.
The last remnants of the of and one is basically living in Matt McClung right now.
Well, but Matt McClung is a very good basketball player. Mm-hmm. And he
not necessarily
amazing.
Pro level. A lot of people are just like, there is a reason that he's not in the league.
Let me ask
but
you
that's
guys
what I love about it. It's just like, guess what? Like the dudes in the G League, he's associated with the league.
Yeah,
we don't care where you're from. Like maybe they could open the dunk contest to, you know, for a while. I remember the X Games did this for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like Tavis Pastrana was the only one who was able to do a double backflip on the Moto X competition off the ramp. Somebody did it on YouTube. Somebody did it on YouTube, and they're just like, "Oh, you did it on YouTube? You know, come down to LA Coliseum and do it in front of a crowd. We'll see if you can do it there." Chris
Gonzalez, real quick, read the comments. Chris Gonzalez says Gylan is drunk right now.
He actually said
and he can't
Galvin. He's drunk.
Galvin, we need to find out why he thinks Gylan is drunk. A lot of people are saying yes to the equality. So let me just ask you guys this question. Do you believe that the NBA dunk contest is not exciting anymore because we've already seen all the possible dunks that an athlete can do? That is what I keep seeing.
I don't think that's part of it. No, part of it. No. I just think, you know, it's activity and the ability to pull it off. Like you said, like more people know Mac McClung's name now than they did a year and a half ago because he was able to light up the dunk contest. Mm-hmm. If they want to bring in outside talent, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. They think that, you know, I remember Magic Johnson said this. Jeez, this is like 20 years ago. I can't believe how old I am. But before Amari Stoudemire was a really big deal, he was part of the dunk contest. And it was, you could look this up on YouTube. It was so much fun. He threw the ball off the backboard to Steve Nash, who headed it with his head like a soccer ball, and then Amari threw it down. And Magic Johnson said in that moment, you don't need the names, you need the game. And again, like Amari Stoudemire was an NBA player, and he became like a much bigger superstar at that point on, but nobody really knew him that much. Like, he wasn't like one of those top tier A-level mainstream stars. Like, but if you pull something off in the dunk contest, then people are going to remember it forever.
Amzai, great point. Amzai says that NBA All-Star Weekend is canceled until further notice. That's where I'm at right now. I really just don't think the game is entertaining anymore, and it needs a massive upgrade. And Amzai also made a good point. It's like, it's going to take time, and these players are not seeing the value of this All-Star game anymore, so they're not going to put their heart and soul and play, the way they would play for a championship, which is understandable, but it's also something that isn't enticing. I think, the fun events are way more entertaining than the actual NBA All-Star game. So perhaps even if that's the case, put the NBA All-Star game to the beginning of the week and then build up to the skills challenge or whatever. So whatever is the most entertaining. And I do want to say this really quick before we wrap this up. I think I was really pissed off because all the trophies looked beautiful with the exception of Steph versus Sabrina. That championship belt looked so cheap. It was an afterthought. It looked like cardboard or something like that. So
you need to talk to my boy Oscar at the wrestling shop over at Rolling Oaks Mall. Shout out to Oscar. He does great custom belts.
Yeah, I've seen better shit at RCW.
Seriously. We're officially at that point where the actual championship title, like the wrestling inspired belt, has become too many people are trying and not succeeding.
How do you think about, speaking of that, I've seen the WWE belt everywhere. You've seen it with Patrick Mahomes was wearing it on the parade. Now you're seeing Steph and Sabrina. They had the championship belt.
Aaron Rodgers had it back in the day.
Yeah, everybody. This is like a trending thing. The WWE belt is going around. Is it, what are your thoughts on it? It's good promo for the WWE, but is it watering down the value of the belt?
No, absolutely not. I'm glad we're finally mainstream with this because I think the guy who really started it was Rasheed Wallace. After the Detroit Pistons won the championship in 2004, Sheed was carrying around the big gold belt, the one that started off with I think it was a WCW belt, and is now one of the belts that WWE has. He was carrying that around all through 2005, and that was really cool. And all of a sudden, it's just like, we could do this now. And so you started seeing it everywhere, especially now. The WWE started, great marketing job, probably started by Stephanie McMahon because she's a marketing genius. But she started sending out custom championship belts to all the major sports winners. And man, I tell you, if Texas had won the national championship in college football this past year, you better believe I would have bought myself a custom title that I would have taken to every home game next season.
That's cool. And Kylie, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that is watering down the championship belt?
Real quick. Last great dunk contest was Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon.
Yes.
2 years back to back. That was the last great one. The only other person doing dunks like that is Mac McClung. Nobody else is doing dunks like that except for Matt McClung. And they got those dunks from TV, from the guys that are just in dunk contests. That's where the NBA, and they're pushing the limits, right? As far as the belt is concerned, again, I think it was an afterthought. I think more than anything else, what was beautiful was that it actually took place. Right? Like, she had a chance. She almost beat Steph Curry.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that to me is bigger than the belt or any trophy. And I think sometimes when there's some sort of glass ceiling that's broken, we want that glass ceiling and we want everything that goes along with it, right? But we got to remember that these are the same men in general that are making the decisions about other things. How much WNBA is getting paid, what their locker room looks like during COVID, all these other things. So they're always going to be, unfortunately, at a disadvantage. So next year we can only hope for better, and I think it will be better.
That's why I pitched WNBA versus NBA, and you're against it.
I'm not against it. I don't want to see women get slaughtered in basketball.
But would you say
we're talking about 5-on-5?
Real quick,
I don't agree with that when it comes to 5-on-5.
Sabrina did not get slaughtered. Real quick, Sabrina did not get slaughtered by Steph Curry. So why would you assume that this is going to happen for a 5 versus 5. And yes,
who can guard Shaq down low? Who can guard Big Cat down low?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, this is, I mean, I'm sure they will put the team that they want to put together, All-Stars, WNBA. I mean, why not just try it one time? Even if it's 3-on-3, 5-on-5. I'm
Kyrie
just saying,
Irving? Who can guard Kyrie Irving, who's a woman? And I fight with our intern about this all the time. Because the challenge is women did not grow up playing extremely competitive with men. You give that one player maybe 5 or 10 years, I think that they could. But right now, no, it would be ugly.
Sabrina Ionescu said it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, as long as you play good. That's all that matters.
No, this is why I'm saying, like, I'm okay. This is why I'm okay with the with sort of the rock and jock feel on Sunday. It's just like, yes, let's have WNBA players, NBA players, celebrities. We can have fun with the format and the court, bring everybody together, have fun. Like, we can vote on, you know, who has the best highlight, and they can win a prize, probably financial. And again, like, I think the problem that we keep running into is that it's supposed to be fun, not necessarily competitive. When the All-Star game just happened to be competitive, yes, we got some amazing highlights that
games.
Live long in lore involving Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, but that's just not where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they were showing Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley going back and forth, throwing elbows, throwing pork chops at each other. And it was like a 2-point game. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, and I don't know why they stopped it, but they had like a where they integrated women with men, and they did like the free throw line shot, 3-point shot, and then
they had those shots. The very first one that they did involving that, the Spurs won.
Right.
Back when we still had the Silver Stars. We had Becky Hammond, Tim Duncan, and David Robinson, a WNBA player, a current NBA player, and a legend, and they won it. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite YouTube watches because David Robinson kept missing layups. Like, he missed like 8 layups, and they still somehow won. He hit a half-court shot. And, they definitely need to bring that one back.
Yeah.
But the competition, let's make this about fun. Let's find ways to integrate the women
and
into
make
it
fun.
And make it fun. And, just try to turn it into
Speaking
moments.
of the Spurs, you're a wrestling guy. You wanted to talk about something that is a great parallel, which is, how does the Spurs versus the Heat remind you of the upcoming WrestleMania event, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns? And I could see some similarities. Cody Rhodes went
there are a lot of similarities.
Okay, so,
and this is the most fun part about it to me. I just noticed this a few months ago because I'm really big into the ever since I left, I stopped being like a full-time 100% daily sports journalist. Like, I haven't watched as much Spurs basketball, but my childhood and my professional journalism time was all about the titles from 1999 to 2014. Like, I'm down on the Spurs lore. So when we got Cody Rhodes winning back-to-back Royal Rumbles, challenging Roman Reigns, it just reminded me a lot of the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs facing off in back-to-back NBA Finals, and there are a lot of parallels. Roman Reigns came in as a long reigning champion in that first matchup, and it looked like the San Antonio Spurs, Cody Rhodes had him on the ropes. He was doing the Dustin moves. He was doing the gold dust moves. He gave him the bionic elbow. Solo had been taken out. The rest of the bloodline had been taken out. It looked like that was his moment. Just like Game 6 in 2013. The Spurs had the Heat on the ropes in Miami. They brought out those yellow ropes separating the crowd from what everybody thought was going to be a championship celebration. Kawhi misses a free throw. Manu misses a free throw to give them a 4-point lead. And all of a sudden, Miami comes back out of nowhere, and the reign continued for the champs. And a year later, just like in 2013, they meet again. Not everybody necessarily expected it. I don't think the Spurs were a number 1 seed that season, but they, went into Oklahoma City, won Game 6, and it's just like, oh, it's on again. We got Spurs versus Heat again. just like Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble. It's extremely rare for a team to lose in the NBA Finals, especially now in the free agency era, not necessarily like back in, when it happened in the 70s and 80s all the time. But the Spurs win it, and once again, we have the same matchup, and just like Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. And it's building up the same way. It feels like everything is building to where, everybody's saying, finish the story, finish the story, finish the story. And there's a very famous Tim Duncan interview that he did with David Aldridge on the court when the Spurs closed out Game 6 in Oklahoma City, where Tim Duncan, after closing out, winning the Western Conference Championship, says, we've got 4 more to win. We're going to do it this time. Mm-hmm. That's not a man of many words, but he cut a legendary promo in that moment. No. Just like Cody Rhodes saying, I'm going to finish the story. Mm-hmm. And it feels, and when hopefully Cody Rhodes, because I feel like the WWE has made a mistake in having Roman Reigns win that matchup at WrestleMania last year. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But when it happens, like it's just going to feel like an amazing moment. And the other big thing is that one of the things that Cody Rhodes has been saying too all along is that he wants to not only beat Roman Reigns, but destroy the bloodline. It's basically just like take everything he has away from him mm-hmm. by beating him at WrestleMania, mm-hmm. which means finding a way to somehow take away his allegiances, take out The Rock, take out Jimmy Uso, take out Solo Sikoa. And what did the Spurs do in 2014 after they won that NBA Finals matchup against the Heat? It basically killed basketball in Miami for years. Mm-hmm. LeBron left. Wade was past his peak. Not long after that, Chris Bosh ended up having to retire because of medical issues, and the Miami Heat were in the doldrums. They're back now. They just made the NBA Finals. Who knows? They might do what happened last year, where they just kind of turn it on after getting into, after playing into play-in situation. But there are so many parallels to this, and I just absolutely just love that fact.
I do love it, but I will say the only way your parallel can come true is if Cody Rhodes
finished the story.
If he wins, if he finishes the story, right?
Let me ask you something. 2 things. I remember Tim Duncan slamming the court when they lost. I've never seen Tim Duncan upset
when he
like
missed
that.
When he missed the bunny.
And
when he missed the
what's
bunny.
What's
crazy
crazy is we had a kiosk at the AT&T Center, and we were like took a shot. I told the employees, I said, take your shirts off because it's an independent. We're gonna go watch the Spurs win, and that's when they hit that 3-point shot, and like the air got taken out of the arena because we had a huge watch party at the AT&T Center. But going back to what I was saying, I'm wondering if Cody Rhodes, and again, people are going to be, he's bringing up race. But is Cody Rhodes too much of a golden boy? Like, does he not have the look that signifies the diversity that the WWE has had? I wonder if that's part of the reason why he's having a hard time, or they're having a hard time getting him over the top. Because I don't think he can represent. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm just wondering if that's part.
So
I think there's a consensus that everyone pretty much loves Cody Rhodes.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter like where, like everybody, I feel like his fan base is very diverse just based off what I see. So I think it's not necessarily that. I just think it's one of those things where he's always seems to get the short end of the stick, but he's worked so damn hard and he deserves to win WrestleMania. Like last year, I was devastated when he lost, and he actually, I feel like he worked so hard that he deserved to win. Now he's back in this position over again. It's kind of like one of those underdog comeback stories that you just want to root for him, especially since Roman Reigns is like the epitome of like the biggest heel that the WWE has had. He's had
in a very long time.
Yeah, the longest reign of the WWE champ
since Bruno Sammartino.
Right. So his reign is long. He's a big, massive heel for the WWE, and I think that's why they've promoted him for so long. I'm hoping that Cody Rhodes goes over for the WrestleMania, but I mean, who's to say that's going to happen?
So I'll get into a little of the backstage politics of this based on what, because I listen to Wrestling Observer newsletter. I follow a lot of Cage Side Seats. Like, I follow a lot of Wrestling Insider stories. And Brian Alvarez made a really good point, preeminent wrestling journalist, made a good point last year about how somebody, and it really could have only been Vince McMahon, somebody made the decision last minute, oh, you know what? The entire story, we've been building this up for months, and in a lot of ways, years, it makes the most sense for Cody to win. Let's have Roman win instead. Let's swerve everybody. Give him something that's unexpected. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that happens, and unfortunately, in a lot of wrestling promotions, because essentially it's also a creative process. There's a storytelling process. There's a writing process. And sometimes when you want to have a twist in the story, you do a twist for the sake of having a twist. It's not necessarily something that is set up as part of the narrative. Correct.
Yeah.
And if you look at everything that happened after WrestleMania last year, Cody was being booked like a champion, and Roman got to take some time off, and that didn't make a lot of sense because Roman was the champion and Cody lost. Mm-hmm. It would have made way more sense. The booking that followed WrestleMania would have made a lot more sense if Cody had won. Now we come over to this year where The Rock is a member of the TKO board, now a member of the board of the company that owns WWE, mm-hmm. and he insists, well, I'm gonna, this is gonna be my last match. Probably one of the incentives to get me to sign on with the board is to have me perform at WrestleMania. Well, you know what? I'm gonna give what the world has been wanting. I'm gonna give them a Rock versus Roman Reigns match. And that sounded good in theory until people realized, oh, you're going to take Cody's spot? No, we're not okay with that. And the backlash was so severe that they ended up switching that story, or at least starting to switch that story in less than a week. Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes says that on Monday Night Raw, and on Friday Night SmackDown, less than a week later, it's just like,
we made a mistake.
Well... Let's figure this out. How can we pivot in a way that makes sense? Because
the whole world
everything that was happening. So when that happened, when Cody sort of gave The Rock a hug and left the ring and looked over his shoulder, that moment was meme-ified. Everybody was talking about that, to the point where when the WWE shared that clip on YouTube later, they cut that out because of how bad it made the company look, about how bad it made The Rock look. And so they're just like, well, let's have The Rock be a heel now, and let's have we can still have Cody finish the story, but we can find a way for The Rock to be involved somehow. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it was backlash.
So the fans really still are carrying this. It's not a matter of whether Cody Rhodes has it or not. He has it. He's the biggest babyface in wrestling. Yeah, WWE or AEW, period. He's not a badass babyface, not in the Stone Cold kind of sense or even a Rock kind of sense. It's just like, no, this is a good guy that everybody is behind. He does good things. He's not a heel or a bad guy in any way, and that is extremely rare in the wrestling business. So it feels like another huge mistake is going to be made if he doesn't finish the story at WrestleMania. And that's the challenge. That's why I can't wait to see that match on WrestleMania Sunday when he main events WrestleMania, because there has to be enough there in that story, in that match, to make you believe that it might not happen for him. And that is the toughest job in the world, and I couldn't imagine trying to book that match, write that script, be in that ring.
It's gonna be so much fun, and I can't wait to watch it. Tim Gonzalez says LeBron is the version of Roman Reigns. I mean, you might be onto something. So RCW is coming up this Sunday, actually.
Yeah, this Sunday.
Wait, when is WrestleMania?
WrestleMania is...
Wait, it's in April. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, I'm over here. Okay. I was like, wait, is WrestleMania this weekend?
No. Brandon Oliver, RCW.
I was like, wait, he wouldn't book it that day. Yeah. So, and I'm going to wrap this up by saying I think Cody Rhodes is going to win this time around. Like, if Roman Reigns is going to be the heel for this damn long, I'm just going to give up on the WWE because that's kind of bullshit. Like,
You're
I mean,
not giving up on the WWE.
I am going to give up on it because
No,
I'm like,
you're
that's,
not.
I know, right? But it's kind of dumb. Like, he's been winning for how long? We're kind of getting tired of that same old narrative. So I think Cody is going to end up winning, and I'm probably going to cry when he wins because he deserves it. RCW is coming up this Sunday, and I just want to ask you a quick question. What's it like being a commentator for RCW?
Can you go into character real quick?
Oh yeah,
okay.
you're a character. You're
Handsome
Handsome
Javi.
Javi. That's your
Pull the mic,
character.
pull
You
the
want
mic
to
up, pull the
talk to
mic up.
Handsome Javi? You'll talk to Handsome Javi. Handsome Javi, the best color commentator in wrestling, bar none, and only because Corey Graves isn't a color commentator anymore. Now he's play-by-play. So now Handsome Javi is the best color commentator in the pro wrestling business. Sports, entertainment, sports, you name it. Handsome Javi is the best. And the
So who gave you the
reason
name Handsome
that
Javi?
Handsome Javi is the best is because Handsome Javi gets to call RCW shows. Because RCW is where the superstars of the future for the rest of the world get to be enjoyed in San Antonio. And there's no better example than that of a match that's coming up later this week when Ren Sinclair meets Roxanne Perez in the ring at NXT. We know them as Roxy and Maddie Renkowski at RCW. And we were just spent a lot of time talking about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, when he was building up his name, one of the first places that he went to after he left WWE was to RCW, because future superstars are made and built at RCW. And if you want a great example of that, our main event for the RCW title is going to be Khan, a guy known the world around for his incredible accolades, is currently the world six-man champion and a frequent performer at EW, against Bo Amir, a guy who stands 7 feet tall and is one of the best Raw performers I've ever seen. There's a guy that when we first started seeing him was big and powerful, and now he's a straight-up performer. That guy can wrestle. And a lot of people thought that Khan was going to be hanging on to that RCW title for a long time, but his reign might come to an end at our next show. And when it comes to an end there, we'll probably see him more in AEW, maybe in the WWE for a little bit. But the future superstars are at RCW. And if you want to pay, I don't know, $20 a ticket, $30 for a picture, an autograph, for people where you're going to have to, maybe a few years down the line, you're going to be having to pay a few $100s a ticket to see these people. You're not going to be able to have access to them because they're going to be way too famous. But if you want to see them while you have access to them at a great place with a great company like RCW, come to our show. Follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, at RCW Forever. Find out where we're going to be having shows, because the future superstars, the ones who are carrying companies at AEW, WWE, Impact, TNA, any place you can think of, they come through here because they know they're going to get the best out of the competition, out of the in-ring announcers, out of the color commentators, play-by-play commentators. That's where the best come through.
I agree. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And thank you, Fred, for watching. RCW is going to be a blast. And, you know, I love it about independent wrestling is that it's right here in the backyard. And we see the best of the best. It's so much fun. I want to talk about Selena real quick. Selena, I don't know if y'all saw the Yolanda versus Yolanda Saldivar Selena documentary. I saw it because I told you guys last week.
Punishment.
I'm a gluten for punishment.
No, gluten for
punishment. I gluten. Gluten free. No, just kidding. So I wanted to watch this because I told y'all last week I was gonna follow up with y'all on League of Our Own, and surprisingly, a lot of people felt the same way I did, and some people sided with Gylan. He didn't want to watch it at all. He felt like it was garbage for people to watch it, but we had like 2,000 views and a ton of comments and people reacting on, you know, our thoughts on this. I ended up seeing Selena's Secrets by Yolanda, And I just felt like the whole time Yolanda Saldivar was blowing smoke up our asses as a Latina in San Antonio, in Texas. It was obvious that she was lying once again. I still don't buy that what she's reiterating once again, which is the gun accidentally went off. I thought it was really stupid. And for her to have 30 years to sit and marinate in a jail cell and to be asked, did you do it on purpose? And her answer is, no, it was an accident. I love Selena. Then why did you buy a gun? Why did you take it back? And then she said she never embezzled money, that Selena was having an affair. She was just trying to tarnish her name the whole time. It was bad.
I don't, as I've gotten older, like I said, I'm 40, I'm old. As I've gotten older, I try not to judge people for watching stuff. Like, if you want to watch this documentary, this special, whatever, like, that's fine. Like, you want to take in your Selena content, you're a little bit younger. I'm lucky enough where I got to grow up listening to Selena when she was alive. I remember exactly where I was when I found out she died. I grew up in McAllen in the Rio Grande Valley. So just like here in San Antonio, like the entire community was devastated when it happened. But the thing that I noticed, and if you want to take in some really good journalism on Selena, there's an excellent podcast available wherever your podcasts are listened to. I listened to this one on Apple Podcasts. It's called Selena, A Star Dies in Texas. And it was done by KIII down in Corpus Christi, Selena's hometown. And it was about the media coverage around when it happened, the timeline of events based on the family medical reports as well as the police reports. And the thing that I loved about that podcast was it put everything into perspective and it was really easy to expose Yolanda's lies when put into that kind of context. The problem with, and again, I'll have to, at some point I'll probably watch it. The problem with documentaries that revolve around Yolanda, to me, is it feels like the content is revolving around her lies. Mm-hmm. And she should be a part of the story, but she shouldn't be the story. And I feel like that is sort of trampling on Selena's legacy. Mm-hmm. Like, we obviously need to talk about Yolanda, what happened, the dangers of it, but off of the bat, as I won't talk about whether or not I own a gun, but I've obviously, I come from a family of hunters who handle guns and are well aware of gun safety. This is one of the first things that anybody who's ever held a gun or been properly taught about proper gun safety, you don't point a gun at anything that you don't intend to kill. So whether the gun went off accidentally or on purpose, to me, has nothing to do with whether Yolanda is guilty or not. Mm-hmm. She pointed a gun at Selena, so the intent was to kill. Mm-hmm. Or at the very least, that was a worst case scenario perspective that she put herself in. And again, Selena, A Star Dies in Texas, check out that podcast. They do a really good job of dispelling all of Yolanda's lies about this different stuff that she keeps making up. Apparently she's saying the fact that like she did this because Selena had an affair or was having an affair. There is
which has nothing to do with why you're
no
going to
evidence to support that. Yeah. She's just throwing stuff at the wall and
hoping
and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
I would hope that, because in our new media particularly when it comes to documentaries, a lot of times the subjects are considered producers, and that's one of the ways that they can get money and one of the ways that incentivizes documentaries to get made. I would hope that isn't the case for this because, again, she seems to be spouting unfounded lies that have been disproven over and over and over again. The lies that haven't been disproven, she has no proof except her word, which doesn't mean a lot.
It's useless, and there's no evidence backing up. I want to say you didn't watch it. Guylan, I know you didn't watch it. One of the lies that stood out to me that I want to say is that back in the day, I saw the doctor's report because I looked up the entire case. I did my deep dive before I watched the show so I could remember what Yolanda said. Yolanda said that she got sexually assaulted in Monterrey by two men who opened her car door. They sexually assaulted her, and then they beat her with a bat. Now, in this documentary that we just saw, you know what this bitch says? She says, I'm going to call her a bitch because that's what she is. You know what she says? She says that her and her sister were in Monterrey and they went to a Whataburger to go order some food. I don't know why Whataburger got to be thrown into this. They go to a Whataburger. They're in the Whataburger. She's in the Whataburger restroom by herself. Her sister's in the car. She's waiting on her Whataburger, which again, it triggers me. Is why you bringing up Whataburger. Ain't nothing Texas about you. You revoked your Texas card when you killed Selena. She's inside the Whataburger. She's in the restroom. Then the two guys come into the women's restroom and they beat her up. She didn't mention a bat. She didn't mention she got sexually assaulted in this documentary. But in her old testimony, she did. Then she says in this documentary that she gets into the car with her sister. They drive back to Texas. She drops her off in San Antonio, her sister. Then she drives to Corpus and tells Selena to take her to the hospital. Why did you have your sister take you to the hospital? She was with you. Why did y'all stop in San Antonio to go to the hospital? So it just makes no sense why you would want Selena to take you to the hospital. And then in the doctor's testimony, the doctor said, Selena pulled the doctor to the side and said, I think she's lying because I'm supposed to get financial documents from her today. Mm-hmm. And then that she got killed later that day. So you just coming up with bullshit as to why you went to the hospital that day. You just didn't want to give her the records because you were stealing money, which is back to the original point, and you just wanted to kill her. That was it. Like, just say, and it would mean something to everyone if she would just say, look, I fucked up. I meant to kill her. I meant to kill her because I had stolen money, and I'm really remorseful and sorry, and I'm sorry for all the pain I caused everyone. But sometimes people can't have accountability, and that's why y'all are both probably right. I shouldn't have watched this shit.
That wouldn't necessarily mean much after 30 years or however long it's been. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much closure we could possibly get. I mean, you know, because there's evidence, there's medical evidence, there's financial evidence, there's so much that dispels her story. But yeah, I mean, I guess it would say a lot more about her if she were to just come out and say like, oh yeah, I've been making all this stuff up for years. I'm really sorry about my life was collapsing around me. And I took it too far in trying to keep my life together. And as a result, one of my best friends died. And I'm sorry that I killed her. Like, just like, apology not accepted, but okay, you said it. Like, that would be a breaking news documentary to me. Like, if she were to say something like that, I don't need a 2-part documentary hearing about what new lie she's concocted.
Gylan?
But yeah.
This is not Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption. Right? You remember when he gave his confession and everything he said. Mm-hmm. This is real motherfucking life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, and I'm sorry. I'm kind of upset with you in the moment. Mm-hmm. I'm not judging you. I'm judging you in the moment. Mm-hmm. Why?
No, you were right. I regret it.
In what universe do we think Yolanda Salazar, Yo-Yo, I'm just calling her Yo-Yo.
They call her Yo-Loca
or Yo-Yo would tell the truth. In what universe? Like, and you're not even that trusting of people. And why would you think this woman would tell any type of truth? Now, I don't think she meant to kill Selena. I really don't. I think that she got in, it was the heat of the moment, she panicked, and something happened, right? I don't think she has it in her. That's what I think. Is it far-fetched? And I'm kind of like a 2 on that. She killed the woman. And I remember San Antonio, and I remember my Latina girlfriend. I'm not going to give the name because, anyway, it's a whole nother story. But I remember her going to South Park Mall for a candlelight visual. I remember San Antonio being so heartbroken. And I think it says a lot. And I'm not trying to pass judgment, but when we go back to the scene of a crime, it's kind of like watching a 9/11 documentary over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. What more do we want to know? And I don't think that Yolanda Salazar, Yo-Yo, has anything of substance to say or to do. And she's actually, I don't know. I always say, if somebody killed your aunt or your uncle, you wouldn't go back and watch, and especially if they lied,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't go back and watch a documentary about your aunt or your uncle. And I think so many people in San Antonio, Selena was that aunt or that uncle or that cousin or that brother or that sister. She meant that much to San Antonio. And as San Antonians and then Texans, as Tejano stars and Conjunto fans, you all are going and watching this shit? I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I'm not judging. It just doesn't make any sense to you.
Well, I think for me, it's like, I'm always I don't know, maybe because I need closure of some sort. I feel like, and that's always been my struggle with life. I always need closure. Mm-hmm. That's always been my thing and my biggest hang up. So I thought, well, maybe we could finally get some closure. She's had 30 freaking years to think about it in solitary confinement. Like, just say the truth. You lied your whole way through. You messed up big time and you're really sorry. You can't bring anything back. But the most people can have is truth. But she's just a liar, and some people will just be liars, and that's the closure that I need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I've always said about closure, just real quick, I'm sorry, Javi. You close the door. Nobody else can close the door. Nobody else knows your pain except for you. So when you decide there's closure is when you decide to close the door. Otherwise, the door is always going to stay open because you're looking for something that doesn't exist, which is the truth for somebody else. You know the truth.
Mm-hmm. It's true, and I struggle with closure, and I think that's one of the reasons why I want to. And I like true crime, so it was like true crime.
Well, that's the thing. Like that's the thing I'm wondering about. First 20 years after Selena died, we barely heard from her. I don't know whether it was because she wouldn't talk, or whether because there wasn't a media motivation to do that. Because, I'll give some newsrooms credit. They don't necessarily talk about it all that much because they don't want to feel like they're exploiting Selena's death and Selena's memory by going and doing a bunch of stories on the anniversary of Selena's death and talking to Yolanda for that. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if her situation in prison, like if she understands where we are as a culture when it comes to documentaries. We're kind of in the golden age of documentaries right now.
Right.
Particularly sports documentaries, which is what I feel like I watch every week. But we're kind of in that era where you got a name like Yolanda Saldivar. It's just like, hey, some producers come and talk to her, some director, somebody wanted to make some money. It's just like, listen, like, we're in the documentary age right now. You're going to be all over Netflix. We're going to get Peacock to buy this. People are going to be streaming it on Hulu. You're going to be trending on social media. People are going to be sharing clips on TikTok. Like, this is what people are going to be talking about you if you agree to be a part of this project. Maybe we can get you some financial incentive as well. But
can't make
this is
any
what
money.
I want to do. But, I mean, even if she were to, it would help pay off some of her debts that she's court ordered to pay. Like just a quick tangent.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that's one of the
that.
things.
Yes.
That's one of the things that happened with OJ's "I Did It" book, or "If I Did It" book. A lot of people were against it, and then people realized, oh no, like if I go out and buy and read this book, it's actually going to go to his dead wife's family.
Because that was a civil right. That was civil.
Right.
Because he still owes money in the civil case.
Right.
So I wonder. I feel like there's a story there that we're not going to be able to find out or be able to dig into because that would be too meta for anybody to do a story about. But you wonder what the motivation is. Why we're hearing so much from Yolanda now?
I think it's because of her parole's next year. She's trying to get that parole, and I think her and her dumbass family don't realize that you got to have some type of accountability in order to get parole, and she just like screwed up whatever parole she could possibly have. It's not going to happen because she is not taking accountability and she's still lying. Like her stories don't even make sense for the past till now. Last but not least, Bryce Strong Foundation. We just wanted to touch base on it really quickly. Bryce Wisdom, he had family members, Rashad Wisdom. They played for UTSA and Judson. He passed away from cancer a couple of years back, and his mother, Diana Wisdom, and their family, they are doing an incredible job by keeping his memory alive. At Judson, I'm a Judson Rocket. They have Bryce Bryce Wisdom the street named after him right there in Converse. And now they have a fundraiser where they're on a foundation where they're committed to making a difference in the lives of young children and families affected by adolescent cancer. And they want to raise $250 to sponsor a family in University Women and Children's Hospital right here in San Antonio. And I think that's a great cause to keep his memory alive.
My family's been affected by childhood cancer. I have my niece, unfortunately, suffered through leukemia for a real long time, and thankfully she's in remission. You know, she's over her treatment. She's back in school. She's doing really well. But I know how that affects a family and how much support that part of my family needed when they were going through that, particularly during COVID. And I'm very thankful that she's done with it, and I'm glad that UTSA is involved here. Actually, my family member ended up bonding with the UTSA women's basketball team and winning an award with the NCAA for her story and the way that that all developed. But that's pretty cool that we're supporting the Bryce Strong Foundation fundraiser. I'm sure you'll be posting links in the comments where you can go check it out, find information, and donate. But yeah, childhood cancer is a different kind of thing that families have to deal with.
And they're having a 5K in July, so I might run the 5K. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Gylan,
yes.
that was a good show. Any last words?
Yeah, real quick on Yo-Yo.
Yes.
Here we go.
It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's not.
They know that people are triggered, and these documentary makers knew they could make money off of people. It's nothing more than that. It is a money grab, and a whole lot of people fell for it and tuned in. It's not. That's it. It's really simple. It's about money.
Like, if we want to talk, and again, we were talking about it before the show. If you want to put her in a documentary that takes a look at the legacy, Selena's story, and even concentrates on her death, the media coverage, how the Latinx community was affected by that, how it was covered in the media, how she became a bigger deal afterward with the movie, and how the movie ended up influencing lots of people. Like, there are a lot of superstars now. Like, Selena Gomez is named after Selena Quintanilla. Meghan Trainor and Beyonce talk about how they were influenced by Selena. Who was it? I think it was
J-Lo's career.
Brie Larson. Oh, yeah. J-Lo's career launched by it. Brie Larson saw Jennifer Lopez on a red carpet recently and went up to her and hugged her. It's just like, oh, I'm an actor because I saw you in Selena. So it's not just singers, but actors. Like, if you want to talk about her story and legacy, Yolanda's got to be part of it. But if Yolanda and her lies are the focus of a documentary, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested.
Y'all are smarter than me. Y'all are smarter than me in that aspect. I will give y'all
Selena,
that. Y'all really
I can't stress it enough. Like, and it's a company I used to work for that has nothing to do with it. It was because there's a Tegna-owned TV station, but Selena, A Star Dies in Texas. Highly recommend that podcast if you want some really good content about Selena, her legacy, the media coverage of her death, and putting Yolanda's lies in perspective, fact checking her lies as part of the story. Check that one out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Javi. I'll see you at RCW.
Yeah, absolutely. This Sunday.
Follow us
at RCW Forever on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
6 tickets left, so grab up the last 6 tickets. We're about to be sold out, so let's sell out. I'll see you guys there. Bye. We are done. Yay.